Hey everyone, Fresh Haircut Book Reader here. Today I want to talk about No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai and Junji Ito. Currently, Junji Ito I don't think need that much introduction. He's currently the most famous horror mangaka and some of his work has become legendary status. I've reviewed one of his work before in the channel, Uzumaki, which has been under production by Adult Swim, and from what they've did so far, it looks like they'll nail the series if they keep up with the style they go for going forward. But in this book, Junji Ito is not the only author of the story. It's a very close adaptation to one of Japan's great classic literature writer, Osamu Dazai. He, along with writers like Kobu Abe, Natsume Soseki, Yukio Mishima, are the most influential writers that affected Japanese storytelling. Osamu Dazai doesn't live an easy life. He's dealt with depression and self-hate for most of his life, which I will get into later. But first, let's go for the manga adaptation. The story starts with a couple sitting in front of a lake during the rain, taking some liquid courage. The man is Yoso Oba, and together with the woman he's with, they slide down toward the rushing lake. But at the last second, Oba decided to hold on to life by grabbing a grass, but it's no use. They both plunged into the lake and the current carried them away. As life flashes back before the man, we see his childhood. Even since his childhood, he always felt shameful and miserable. He doesn't feel like he fit in even at his own home despite being born into a rich family and should have lived a more comfortable life. His family is the kind of out-of-touch family that is not good at raising other people. And since Oba doesn't know how to communicate with other people properly, it got harder and harder for him to fit in. That's why he decided to be the funny guy with every opportunity, the clown of the class. So he is a strange kid who questions even the need to eat and unironically believes that people will die if they don't eat is a superstition, which of course is not true. You will of course die if you don't eat. He felt suffocated in his home, especially during mealtime with the whole family. He believed that it's a ritual or prayer to the spirit of the house, and there are actual spirits lurking in the house. But he's way more afraid of people rather than any spirit or ghost. He's afraid of how they will react to him as a person, which is why when his father asked him what gift the family members want, and he didn't react properly until someone answered for him, his father shows disappointment and it crushed him until he cannot sleep at night and decided to fix his father's reaction by writing on his father's notebook while everyone in the house is asleep. And that's how he acted during his whole childhood, being a person who is trying his hardest to get the best reaction out of people, acting like a clown in his house while being the smartest student in his school. But deep down, he's always afraid that someone will unmask him in public, letting everyone know his true self. It doesn't help that he's surrounded by people who look down on others and get their sense of superiority by putting down other people, so there's only bad role model that surrounds him. And to make matter worse, he's assaulted by his own servants, plural, but he's too scared of being judged that he didn't say anything to anyone. Opa managed to conceal and hide all of this until he goes to high school, still fooling everyone by being the class clown. But one of his classmates, Takeuchi, one day came up to him after he fell on purpose to make everyone laugh and told him that he knew. Takeuchi, the guy who everyone at school despises, see his true self, and if this was any normal guy, they would just say yes, he did it on purpose and laugh since no one will believe Takeuchi anyway. But Opa is so paranoid about people finding out about how he's faking everything that he decided to try to befriend Takeuchi so he can somehow keep his secret safe. But when they got closer, Opa started to trust Takeuchi instead and open up more than ever. Maybe because he's the first person he can kinda become himself. They hang out occasionally at Opa's house. Here, Takeuchi said that one day women would love Opa, and they started talking about painting. Takeuchi said that painting by Van Gogh and Modigliani are like ghosts and horses out of the hell, which touched Opa somehow, and he promises he'll paint too. Paint of ghosts, spirit, and horses out of hell. This moment with Takeuchi will foreshadow Opa's life, both with woman and his life that will follow the two painters above, Van Gogh and Modigliani, who lived struggling with money and mental health then died young. But whatever friendship he had with Takeuchi didn't last long. He started just lying to Takeuchi that his cousin might be interested in him until it got so bad that Takeuchi believed that he and Opa's cousin is already in a relationship. So when she rejected him for being a creep, Takeuchi decided to head out of their friendship and out of life. Pushing someone to their death and getting away with it, also another thing that is foreshadowed early by Takeuchi. Oba at first tried to cope by saying that he feels glad that his secret is finally safe, but his guilt manifested in the ghost of Takeuchi haunting him. He then caused the two sisters of the house he stayed at to fight each other because of him. He made both of them pregnant because he wanted so much to have his cake and eat it too, until one of the sisters killed the other and goes to prison where he gave birth to a baby that looked just like Takeuchi. And just like that, he goes to a university where he spent his day in the dormitory haunted by Takeuchi and the sister. He of course didn't say anything about his own baby boy, but this dude hang out with some drunkards called Masao Horiki and called him a good for nothing with zero self-awareness. It is by hanging out with Masao that he learned to smoke, drinks alcohol, and goes to the red light district for entertainment. Unfortunately for others, Oba grew up good looking with an air of mysterious melancholy that makes him attractive. And through Masao, he was also invited to Marxist meeting that is illegal at that time in Japan. Now he's busy either partying or wasting money with alcohol etc. and doing miscellaneous things for the Marxist group that he started missing school. His father at the same time also decided to retire so he'll have less money to spend, which means he's out of money quite quickly due to his lavish lifestyle. He got out of the Marxist group when they decided to do an armed uprising against the people in power, kicking the person that clings to him so he can get away, and that's when he met Tsuneko, a working woman whose husband was put in prison when he's trying to find a job. They kind of found comfort in each other's loneliness, but after spending the night together, Oba escaped because he's scared that the comfort he finds with her will be gone. He got caught by the Marxist group once he went back home, and the woman he kicked to escape became obsessed with him and tried to keep him for herself, which he cannot refuse because he's scared she'll tell everyone about what happened during the armed uprising. His depression got more and more intense, and when he met again with Tsuneko later on, they decided to go out together. With the rest of the money they had, they bought some candies and ramune to help swallow them, but Oba hallucinated while Tsuneko is suffering from the pills. In his hallucination, he kicked Tsuneko like he kicked the previous woman and he tried to save himself, and because of that, Tsuneko fell to the ocean. Unsurprisingly, Oba survived and the police did not give him any trouble at all, only some light scolding. He even managed to get some sympathy by faking coughing and blood that he got from a pimple. The only actual punishment he got is getting expelled from college. He lived for free in one of his father's henchman's house for some time until he decided that he cannot take it and run away. He visited his college friends, or at least people he used to hang out with, but everyone disliked him already at this point. Thankfully for Oba, one of the guests, Shizuko, took a pity on him and decided to invite him to stay with her and her daughter. She not only gave him a place to stay, she also found him a job drawing some manga that he sees as something beneath him. Even the widow's daughter grew close enough to call him dad, but when he didn't have enough money to buy drinks and women, he stole from Shizuko, which is a choice. Thankfully though, he's self-aware enough of his tendency to harm not only himself but people who cannot separate themselves from him, so he decided to leave the mother-daughter duo. He stayed at the house of a bar owner while still continuing drawing manga, and this is when he met Yoshiko, a very kind and very naive girl who fully believed that Oba is a good person. Thinking that he maybe can finally become happy because he was trusted and loved by such a good person, he decided to marry her, which of course went all wrong. His father came and kept trying to make her smaller, and he didn't do anything to defend her. Then a man came and assaulted her, which his friend go out of his way just to make him see and suffer, and he again didn't do anything to save her. Instead, he goes into alcohol once again and made her life more and more miserable. He even got into opium one day because of a pharmacy she was seeing. He of course got addicted to it, that he decided to have an affair with a pharmacist just so he can keep getting the drugs. Yoshiko eventually found out and it broke her as a person. She became more and more unhinged, while as usual, Oba escaped because she cannot take responsibility of his own action. Yoshiko eventually poisoned herself to death. Hiroko, the pharmacist, tried to atone by burning all her dried medicine, which goes out of control and burned her house with her dad still inside. Oba is there, but once again he refused to do anything, so Hiroko and her dad died inside the house. Oba's friend found him at his house almost overdosed on the rest of the opium he found on the burned house of his burned mistress, and they took him to a mental house. His withdrawal caused him to have more intense hallucination, but that's not the most surprising thing with the manga. A lot of things compared to the novel was changed by Junji Ito, but this section had the biggest difference. In the book, Oba met with a writer named Osamu Dazai. Yes, the same Osamu Dazai Oba met is the same Osamu Dazai that wrote the No Longer Human novel. A lot of his work, including No Longer Human, is semi-autobiography, which is a combination of fiction and his own life. Osamu Dazai in real life attempted to take his own life 5 times, and after abandoning his wife and children, his fifth attempt with the woman he cheated with his wife with succeeded at taking his own life. Which, looking back into the first chapter of the manga, it might be Osamu Dazai instead of Oba that goes into the lake. Meanwhile, in the manga, Yusu decided to confess everything to Osamu Dazai, and through their conversation, they found some sort of answer to free themselves of their self-hate, at least for a while. Yusu Oba was born as someone who cannot fit in society, and already that's a complex emotion that he didn't got a chance to process, but instead of receiving help, he got assaulted by 2 different people in the safety of his own home. His fear of confrontation got intensified because of this, and he grew up not finding a healthy way to cope in any way because his mother died early and his father is a failure of a parent. While there are various points later in his life where the accountability of many incidents in his life is definitely on him, but the way he grew up, it's almost inevitable that he become the person he became. No Longer Human is one of the most moving stories, but it's not moving because it's a sad story where Yuzo Oba, who had become an irredeemable piece of shit, somehow found redemption. It's not the kind of story where you're supposed to excuse what Oba did. In fact, it makes more sense if you don't like Oba. I think that's why, despite Yuzo Oba's fateful meeting with Osamu Dazai, Junji Ito didn't give the story a happy ending. Because it's just not the kind of story that offers a happy ending as a possibility, so once they go into society once again, Oba becomes less than a shell of a human. Dazai, who decided to meet once again with him, lose all hope, and from a newspaper we know what happened to Dazai after meeting the soulless Oba. And the famous quote then appears, "Now I have neither happiness nor unhappiness. Everything passes." And it ends with Oba giving his signature clownish grin, looking old despite still in his 30s. No Longer Human is one of the stories that had a history, so people who haven't even read it know about it a little, including the end of Osamu Dazai's life, and they made a conclusion that it's a sob story for weak people, and they couldn't sound more illiterate. In a way, it's a moving story not because it's a sob story, it's a moving story because this is how Osamu Dazai sees himself as. It has been known that a lot of the story is a mirror to Osamu Dazai's own experience, with him eventually successfully taking his own life. A lot of it is still fiction, although we don't know how much, but I cannot imagine hating yourself so much that you self-insert yourself into Yozo Oba. Usually, self-insert story is something like Soul Leveling or Sword Art Online, where they can be badass and got the girl. The direction for self-insert usually are unrealistic as to make the readers looks better and feels better. And No Longer Human did the opposite of that. There's a lot of trigger warning of the story, but it's one of the most introspective stories that you can read if you don't mind the experience of reading it. Junji Ito also goes all out with drawing all the unprocessed emotion that Oba have in the story, guilt, sorrow, shame, everything, making this one of the most haunting stories that you can experience. I give this a 4.5. What do you think? Let me know if I missed anything, so leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it. See ya.